Hey, it is Friday evening, Good Friday, April 18th. It is NBA playoffs. We have the play-ins now going on, but the playoffs start tomorrow. And this is the real deal mega playoff preview. Let's get it. All right, NBA playoffs mega preview. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden, the real deal. Glad to be back with another Friday night lights special of the NBA playoff preview. I had to bring in my guys in, so I'm going to bring them in shortly. But you can follow the show on all the podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Spreaker. We're on the BS3 network, bs3tvlive.com, BS3 network on the Roku channel. So download the Roku app, the BS3 network on the Roku app. There, you can find it there. You can follow me on that Get the Real Deal. Also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, got a TikTok. Don't already use it, but I'm on TikTok as well, and I'm on Blue Sky too. So I'm giving that a try as well. A lot of engaging conversations there on Blue Sky. If you don't want to follow on Twitter anymore, but yeah, like I said, NBA playoffs. This is always exciting, and when I bring my guys, and we've been doing this for quite a few years, the esteemed panel, as I call them, two of my best friends in the industry and life in general. Like I said, we do this a couple times a year. So when the playoffs come up and NBA regular season comes up, I always got to bring them in. So I'm glad we made this a routine, a ritual thing that we do each and every year. So first up, I got to bring in my man, my best friend, my brother for 40 years now. We got to say 40 because we're in that threshold of mid 40s and as well. But we're like fine wine. We get better with age. So my man, Jamus Geter, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Indeed. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate you having me on. And every time we get on, those years just keep ticking up and up and up and up.
Yes, for sure. Yes. But yeah,
Yeah.
so glad to get you on as always, man. And then
Indeed.
last but not least, I got to bring in my real deal brother with the same name podcast. We've done so many podcasts together, and we're in fantasy football leagues together. I still haven't won it yet. I've been so close every single year, and I'm just like the Buffalo Bills. I just cannot get over that hump. But my real deal brother, Damian Adams from the Real Deal with Damian Adams. What's good, man? Thanks for coming on.
Of course, man. Anytime you call, you send that bat signal. I'm here. I'm ready to go, man.
For sure. And like I said, I had to bring you guys on because I love what we discuss all things NBA and just things in general. But we especially have the love for the NBA, and it's that time. It's the playoffs. We all three of us love the league and love this time of year, and we always like to just have our predictions and things like that. So I said, yeah, I gotta get one in before the playoffs start. So I really appreciate both you guys coming on. So but let's start. Let's start with before the playoff talk. Let's get into some of these the news of the firings, man. I mean, Coach Budenholzer, in your neck of the woods, Damian, in Arizona, Phoenix, and what a mess of a team that is at the
Yeah.
Phoenix Suns. And Coach Bud, after 1 year, gets fired, gets let go. They're going to pay him all that money for the rest of that contract. But what was your reaction to that? Did you see this coming after 1 year? Now there's been speculation, talk about him and Devin Booker didn't get along. We saw how him and KD, that whole thing, and the Bradley Beal contract is now coming up. So it's just so much. But we'll start there with you, Damien. What do you think of the Phoenix Suns firing their coach?
I wasn't surprised. Like
Mm,
you could see it coming, especially with just the body language of the team when watching them play. And watching them play, they seemed like a team that just didn't believe. Right?
mm,
When you watch them on defense, there was no umph to their game. Like teams were just running their plays. Like it was like a scrimmage. Teams like, oh, let me pass it here. I cut. I do this next. Like they're just going through the steps of their plays without any disruption from the Suns. And I remember I went to go see Zion play. My first time getting to see Zion play because he's always hurt every time I go to the Pelicans game. So I finally got to see him play when they came out here. And he balled out, triple-double, went crazy. And I just remember thinking how easy it was for him to do what he wanted to do. Now, of course, he's Zion. When he's healthy, we know how great he is. But even when they did double, the double teams were soft. He backs up a step. He sees somebody wide open. He makes the pass. Like everything was simple for the opposing team against Phoenix, outside of trying to stop Durant or stop Devin Booker when he was on. But when it came to the offensive end of the floor for the opposing team, they did what they wanted to do. And I can see in a vacuum why Bud got fired, because you have a team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, highest paid team in the league, and they finish 11th and don't even get into the play-in, let alone the playoffs. Right. So I can see in a vacuum why he got fired. But when you expand the picture, it's much more than just Bud that was wrong with this franchise. You have Frank Vogel and Mike Budenholzer in back-to-back seasons go one and done. Both of those guys have won championships.
Yep.
Like Frank Vogel won in 2020 with the Lakers. The next year, Mike Budenholzer won with Milwaukee, which Phoenix remembers because they beat Phoenix in the finals. Yep. So it wasn't like they're not familiar with it.
Yeah.
So both these guys can coach. It's not like they just got coaching amnesia and just forgot what they was doing. The players, for some reason, didn't buy into either Frank or Bud. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, we have to stop blaming the coach every time something goes wrong.
Yep.
Sometimes it's the players, even if they're talented. It's the players if they're not buying in on defense, if they're not buying into the scheme. And one thing that really stood out to me was how slow they played. Because Milwaukee, Bud's teams always play fast. They were always one of the top teams in pace.
Yep.
You have Giannis, who's a go hard. You know he's going to grab the rebound and go. He's going to push the pace. And they're listening to and buying behind their best player, who's going hard, playing fast. He's also a very good defender, which help you when it comes to preaching defense when your best player is to go hard on both ends. Mm-hmm. Now you go into this system where all three players, both Booker and Bill and Durant as well, all work in the mid-range. They all work off a slow offense, pulling up in the mid-range, doing their thing. And they're amazing at it. Kevin Durant had another amazing year. If he played 65 games, he probably made All-NBA. That's how good he was offensively. So I'm not surprised that Bud got fired. But the thing is, this puts so much pressure on the next hire.
Yeah.
Next hire has to work. They can't fire him first year. They just can't, because you're paying three coaches right now. You're paying Monty, Frank, and Bud. You can't fire a fourth coach. Mm-hmm. You can't. So this next guy has to work out. The only way you can fire him is of stuff or something outside of basketball. But anything basketball-wise, he can't get fired. He has to be there at least 3 years. So now the pressure is on to find this young coach that maybe we don't know about yet and try to make it work. And now you have to trade Kevin Durant, try to trade Bradley Beal. You know, you hope that he agrees to a trade, because you can't trade him unless he agrees to it.
Yep.
And hopefully you can stretch his contract. But if not, you're moving forward with a team that's built around Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal don't want to play defense. That's what I heard. When he said he didn't want to be Drew Holiday, or he didn't want to be compared to Drew Holiday, I heard, I don't want to play defense. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And you know, it's interesting too, because Matt Ishaba, he's getting pressure now, the owner, for him to hire the right coach. And he even said in his last press conference just yesterday, we got to get this coaching right, hire right. And we thought, okay, Vogel and Budenholzer were right. They just didn't just wake up and don't know how to coach. It's like, you know, like you said, it's got to come to the players. And even if they trade Kevin Durant and they even try to move Bradley Beal, you get something for Durant, but that contract is huge. Those are two big, huge contracts. And where does Durant go? Where's that trajectory now with his? It just, you know, ever since he left Golden State, nothing's gone right for him. You know, the Brooklyn, Phoenix, none of it's gone right. And it's not him, because he said he's still got game. He's still one of the top 10 best players in the league. Is now saying, okay, what does he want now? Can he go to Houston? That's what I've heard too. Does that help them in the West? And, you know, they're the third seed or second seed now. So do they need a veteran? We'll see what happens in the playoffs with them, young team. But you move Durant, what does that do for Phoenix? Like you said, you got to get a coach now that can actually get this team back on track. But the team is a mess. But Jamus, what do you think of Phoenix and their move? That the firing, was it the right move? But who do they get? Like, what was your overall take when you saw that news?
My take was kind of similar to what you said, Damian. When it came down to it, you watch them, they didn't look interested. They didn't
Mm-mm.
look like they were playing for the coach. You could tell they were tuning him out, which seems to happen with Bud everywhere he goes. But first year, not typically, right?
Yeah.
And they just didn't bring it on the defensive end at all. The biggest thing that I look at was the roster makeup. Who's their
Yeah.
defensive? Who's their defensive guy? Josh Okogie, right? And he barely played, right?
Yeah.
So what are you looking at defensively? The guy who's on the floor with those other three, who's going to do the dirty work, who's going to defend, who's going to guard the best player, who's going to rebound. Where are those players at on this roster? And they're not there. So it doesn't matter what coach they bring in if they do not redesign this roster.
Mm-hmm.
However, how are they going to do that? Because they're front loaded. These big contracts handcuff them.
Yeah.
And, there's rumors of them trying to ease that with the 2-year extension for Booker. The possibility of them having to trade Kevin Durant may be out there. But what are you going to really get back at this point that's going to help your roster be a championship contender? You're banking on these three with Durant, Beal, and Booker, and you don't have a lot behind them. They
Yeah.
tried bringing in Jones, and I thought that was a good idea, at least having a steady point guard. And then he doesn't start most of the games. After a while, they gave it a try, it didn't work. Um, Trading Yusuf, what do you do? They gave it a try. I think they ultimately have to do the blow up option. You kind of have to just go ahead, and they're probably going to hold on to Booker and see what they can do in moving Durant and moving Beal, if they really want to kind of get to a point where they can balance out this roster and start to make their way in the right direction in a couple of years. If you're going to stick with this roster, you're going to bring in you bring in a young guy who these three are going to walk over. You
Yeah.
bring in a Mike Malone who they're probably not going to listen to. It feels like those three are just not in the mood to listen to anybody right now, or at least one or two of them may not be in the mood to listen to whoever's on that bench. And that makeup is something's got to change, and it is bigger than the coaching. They've had two great coaches. You bring in another great coach, you're just going to bring in another guy, like you said, Damian. They got to pay, and if you don't do anything about this roster and you don't get the right pieces, it doesn't matter who's in there. Those three are doing everything they need to do offensively. You got to get some defensive dogs, and I
Yeah.
don't know where they're going to get those with the salary that they have already paying out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you're right. I think that roster makeup just wasn't it. And the whole when you have those three, you would think at least they can get into a play-in, at the least, even in the loaded West. With even with having Booker and KD, especially Bradley Beal, even when they got him, you know, he's good enough, but he's not as. That's why Washington was like, yeah, take him. Go ahead, just take him wherever we don't want you no more. You can tell they didn't want him anymore, but now he's got that no trade clause. He wants that money. That seems like what he wants to play for now. And I do like Beal, but it's just one of those things. It just doesn't mix. It hasn't blended. And now you said Durant probably will get traded, and you said you had Vogel, who was a defensive coach, that didn't work. Budenholzer, a little bit of a defensive coach, but offensively, they said their structure of their offense just seemed like we just gonna try to outgun and outshoot everybody, and that didn't work either. But the makeup itself after those three just didn't blend. So yeah, I agree with that. But we
Can
had
I
a
ask
couple
you
more.
guys a question?
Yeah,
If you're Devin Booker, do you ask
Hmm.
out?
Yes,
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I thought that he should have asked out.
Yeah,
To be honest, if they weren't, they ran it back this year, and I was confident that they could figure it out. But I really thought he should have asked out over the summer last year. It's time to go
yeah,
and see what. It wasn't going to work. You could see it. I don't see how anybody is going to come in and tinker with that roster. And if I'm D-Book, you're going to get a lot back for him. I think it would work for Phoenix.
Yeah.
But for him, I think he gets to control it. He's the one who doesn't have no trade. He's the one on the roster who
Right.
doesn't have the ability to say, no, I'm not going to go there. But I think they would do him a solid if he said, hey, I've given it a try for this long. All we've done, the closest we've come, is to getting blitzed in the finals against the Bucks a few years ago. I think it's just time to go and see what else I can do somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think Booker should ask to be traded and they should let us see what they can get for him. I think they can get more for him.
Because he's in his prime. He's like 28.
Right. Yeah. And then even KD or whatever. We got a couple of comments in here. Nathan Ramasandra from the Nathan Sports Rush. Thanks for always tuning in and says, What's up,
sir?
Yeah, he said 3 legends in here. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Keep grinding yourself. He doing a lot of big things too. Yeah, a lot of content. And he said, "Where do you guys think Kevin Durant will go?" We've kind of talked about that. Houston. I don't know where he would fit. Like where he fit. He already said no to Golden State, and I just did that maybe, but I don't think they want to. They don't want to do that again. Now they got Jimmy, so that's not.
They already gave Jimmy that money.
Yeah, they're not getting that. Doesn't work either. Yeah. Houston might be the only. I was listening to Bill Simmons's podcast with Zach Lowe. Glad Zach Lowe's back for sure. I was listening to him, and he was saying they were trying to say the same thing. It's like Houston might be the most interesting part, but I guess it depends what Houston does in the playoffs too.
If Houston loses in the first round, I can see it. If they get to the second round, they have a good performance in the second round, but say they lose in 6 or 7 in a good series, I think they stay the course and try to develop those players.
Yeah. He's Nathan said Dallas. If Kyrie was coming back, maybe. But like you said, Kyrie's out for a while. So that doesn't really, to me, move the needle for Dallas. They'll just go from 10 to probably 7th or 8th.
If OKC gets upset early.
Yeah.
Is that a place we may see him?
That's where I was thinking. I've been thinking that now for a couple of months. Wow. I could see him going back to OKC, somehow making things work, especially if they lose in the first or second round. Yeah. They're final bound. If they don't get there, they're going to make a move. I think they're going to have to. They're not going to – too many young pieces.
Too many young,
They want to take somebody like him. And I could see him going back just for legacy's sake or something to that.
Yeah. And they do have a million.
Still be relevant. Yeah.
They got a million draft picks to trade.
They can figure it out.
They do. He said about OKC. That's it. He says the Knicks. He's a Knicks fan, so it's the Knicks get everybody.
We're gonna talk about the Knicks. We're gonna talk about the Knicks.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Knicks. He did say OKC there. It's awesome to see. Yeah, that would be cool to see the legacy thing, and like I said, it all depends on what KD wants. He's a 2-time champion, 2-time Finals MVP, and an MVP. So it just depends what he wants. I know he wants to. He wants to continue to get back to yes, I maybe shouldn't have left Golden State and whatever, but yeah, it just depends what he wants. Does he want to continue to win? He wants to win, so maybe try to get another championship somewhere. But I just don't see it in Phoenix either. So, but your squad, the New Orleans Pelicans, Damian, fired the executive VP David Griffin. I was a little surprised about this one too, only because what can he do? It's like he did all the injuries. Zion out again. It's like, what else could he do? I mean, he got all those draft picks. He tried his best, but I don't think he should have been a scapegoat. But that's your squad, man. So I'm glad I was going to join on this one. What'd you think of David Griffin getting fired? Like I said, it was kind of a little bit shocking that he got fired, but I just like, what can he do with that the roster? It's like it's just a lot of injuries, especially this season.
Yeah, no, this season was crazy with the injuries, like literally from the jump. Our projected starting 5 never played together.
Right.
Like not one game.
That's crazy.
Like that's how crazy it was. I can see from a result standpoint, they're like, we never made it out the first round with you as our leading guy over 6 years, only 2 playoff appearances in the last 6 years. But like you said, Courtney, it's not his fault. You're asking him to build a roster around an idea.
Yep.
That's what Zion is at this point. He's an idea. And we've seen him do things to where it's a great idea. We know it's a great idea when it can come to fruition, but it's only come to fruition, I can say twice. He's had 2 healthy seasons out of 6. And in the one where he was most healthy, he got hurt at the absolute wrong time, pulled his hamstring right before the playoffs.
Oh, yep.
So you're asking him to build a roster around an idea, and it's not just Zion. Like you said, Zion stands out, but everybody on this team gets hurt. Everybody. I don't know what it is because they changed the training staff, because that was the thing that people would say. That must be a bad training staff. They changed the training staff.
Yeah.
Like they went out and tried to get, the upper echelon training staffs. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just extreme bad luck. If they built the Smoothie King Center over a haunted burial ground. I don't know if one of the dude's exes is doing voodoo on the team. I don't know what it is. But this year was absolutely crazy. Like I said earlier, our projected starting 5 never played together. Like literally, Zion missed game 1 with an illness. DeJounte Murray broke his hand that game. And they didn't get to play together for a while. They finally get to play together. Then DeJounte Murray tears his Achilles.
Yep.
CJ McCollum is in and out all season. Trey Murphy looks amazing. He made a big jump this year. He tears his labrum, dislocates his shoulder, misses the later half of the season. Everybody was hurt.
Yeah.
And the thing is, for David Griffin, I think he did a good job. You look at some of the draft picks that he made.
Yeah.
Think about Herb Jones in the second round, one of the best defenders in the league. Trey Murphy was like the 17th pick. And he's somebody who looks like now, with what he did this year, could be an all-star next year. Like, that's how much of a jump he made this year.
Yep.
Zion was the right pick. Like, when you look back at the 2019 draft, he was the right pick. He's the most talented guy in the draft. You can argue Ja, but Ja has his issues as well. Yeah. So that's the thing. Zion was the best pick. He just doesn't stay healthy. Now, part of that, maybe you can put some blame on David Griffin and the organization when it comes to the in-shape stuff. But the crazy thing is, the last 2 seasons, Zion's been in shape. Like, the whole him being fat thing is like just a worn out joke at this point. He's been in shape the last 2 seasons. Last year we saw it because he played most of the year. And this year he just had the hamstring injuries. And I think he had a back issue the last few weeks, but I think we were in the let's, plant our flag mode for trying to get the number 1 overall pick. But it's something where you can't blame David Griffin. So I guess I get it from a standpoint of just wanting to change something to get some type of new blood going. And we'll see what Joe Dumars does. I don't know if it's official yet, but it's been rumored that he's going to be the guy to replace him. We'll see what he does. I know there's already rumors of trying to trade Zion. But what do you get for Zion? Who's willing to give up anything for Zion at this point? I understand he's still young. So there'll be maybe a team that is willing to take a chance, but they're going to take a chance by only giving you a few draft picks. They're going to take a chance by maybe giving you a role player and some draft picks. Like, they're not going to give you a star back. So is it even worth it to trade Zion at this point, or do you just ride it out and try to build around Zion and maybe trade Murphy going forward? But he was in a super tough situation because you can't build a roster around an idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like you said, and then the Brandon Ingram thing, it's like they talked about, like, well, they probably shouldn't have got rid of Brandon Ingram. And it was, Ingram was probably going to go anyway. So they wanted to get something for him. But
he was gone.
Yeah. So now it's like you said, it just seemed like getting, like you said, CJ McCollum. It's just almost like those moves just kept dwindling, injuries, and then building around Zion and all that. It just seemed
there's only one move that I really hold against David Griffin, and it's trading Dyson Daniels. Because Dyson Daniels went to Atlanta, and now he's going to be first team all defense, and he improved incredibly on offense.
Yeah, sure.
Because that was the issue in New Orleans. He always was a great defender. But we had a love-hate relationship with him because offensively at times, you felt like you was playing 4-on-5 at times. So it was like, okay, he has great defense. He's amazing on that end, but offensively, he's killing us. So that would be the argument amongst Pelicans fans is, should Jordan Hawkins get this time or should Dyson Daniels get this time? Because Jordan Hawkins is amazing offensively, but struggles on defense at times.
Right.
So you're like, which one do you put in there? And with Jordan Hawkins, he has the ability to get hot. He can hit 5, 6, 7, 8 threes. And you're like, okay, we need that. We need somebody like that around Zion, around Brandon Ingram. But then he'll get torched on defense or he'll get targeted. You're like, let's bring Dyson Daniels back in. So that was one of the big issues. But then you see Dyson Daniels improve like this. Do you blame Willie Green for that? or do you blame that on David Griffin for making that trade?
Yeah, there's gonna be there's gonna be some moves with your Pelicans, for sure. And who would have thought like Luka gets traded, Jimmy Butler gets traded. There's a possible KD might get traded. All these big name, Joel Embiid. Don't get me started with him over here. That's possible. I don't know if he's gonna get moved. Zion. It's like all these guys injury prone, and then but superstar all stars, and then they could be on the move. It's gonna be interesting off season for sure. James, what do you think of the Pelicans firing David Griffin, and was it the right move?
It's similar. What was he, like you said, Damian, what was he going to really do?
Yeah.
Part of it is, did he build the roster the right way around that team, around Zion and CJ? I think he tried.
Yeah.
I think he gave it the best effort. I even think that moving Dyson, it made sense to him because he had two players like that, right?
Yeah.
You got Herb and you got Trey. You think you can live without three of the same guy, right?
For sure.
I think he gave it his best effort. I do think that there was a number of flaws in that roster just the same. And I think he might have found his way around that this year. I think he would have done some more tinkering. I think he would have figured something out where he would have got another of what they need, which is probably a true defensive big, and probably somebody to really take the pressure off by handling the ball. He would have figured it out. He's always been good enough to do that. It takes a little bit of time, and when you have the plethora of injuries that this team has, you can't do anything about that.
Right.
The injuries are there. We lived through that with Chicago. You can't do anything about it. You got the right pieces. You got players who will give it on both ends in Herb and Trey. You got enough where they, with that kind of a superstar talent like Zion, that you're going to make some noise. Were they championship contenders? No, but they would have made some real noise if they could just be on the floor together.
Yeah.
There's nothing anybody can do in that situation. I do think they probably should have given him another year to figure this out. I know that there's some GMs who definitely should be fired, and he wasn't one of them. He didn't seem like one of them. I feel like we have one court.
Yes.
We should be on his way out.
Yep.
Coach who should probably be on his way out, but for another time. But I don't think he should have been fired. I thought that they did him a disservice by not letting him figure this out, giving it another opportunity to tinker with the roster a bit and see what he could have done. And then maybe you put him on the hot seat if they have the same type of season, regardless, injuries, whatever it is, regardless, you then put him on the hot seat. I just think they moved on from him too early, which means it probably was something that was done where he and the players didn't jive, which I do think there was a point in the season when you could start to feel that there was some heat. And last year, even then, he would say some things in press conferences that make you think, they're not feeling each other.
Yeah.
So he probably wasn't the most loved person, but he was definitely the right guy for what they needed.
Yeah, for sure. And the move, it will do one more of those. That's a good transition to the Denver Nuggets firing their coach and GM, Michael Malone and Calvin Booth, because of what you just said, James. That's it. Like this was Mike Malone would say something in the press conference, and then maybe the players just got tired of it. Calvin Booth wanted a different thing with that. But I'll go back to you, James, on that. He gets fired a week before a week before the regular season ends, a couple of days before the regular season ends. They both get fired because of the friction over roster philosophy and all this. And they just coming off a championship a couple seasons ago, so another one. But what do you think of them firing both Mike Malone and Calvin Booth?
I think they wanted out.
Yeah.
I think that it was the players were tuning them out. They didn't want them in there anymore. The roster was not beautiful. It didn't fit. Again, it's another one of those things where they just couldn't get the pieces to come in that could actually help them. They were not a championship contending team. They were not. You might have the best player in the league on your roster, but that roster does not look good around him, whether it's because players aren't living up to their expectation, whether it's injury, or they just don't have the pieces. When they got rid of some of those pieces last year, that was kind of the ticking clock right there for Booth. And I don't know if Mike Malone was in on that or not, but it didn't seem like he was excited about some of that move. But that started the clock on Calvin Booth. With Malone, they tuned him out early. When you get to about the end of December, and you can see it was the same thing that Bud was going through. Denver was not listening to him. They were just dealing with him. And I think he wanted out also. I think he had just said, this is as far as I can go with this group. And when he started speaking out of frustration, he was saying, get me out of here. Fire me, pay me the rest of my contract, and let me go. He probably will be on a bench somewhere soon. I don't think he wants to sit down for too long. I think he's going to go somewhere. And I believe there's a roster out there for him. There's a team out there for him, an organization who wants him. And he'll be on that bench soon. But he didn't want to be in Denver anymore. I think he had just had enough of playing with them. Playing with the best player in the league, but there was something going on in that locker room that just wasn't working anymore.
I agree, and I think you're right. I think he, at least from the reports, Malone, he favored the veteran players, but you said when the veteran players are tuning him out, there was a lot of talk about this after last season when he was saying a lot of sideways things, and you could tell the players are like, okay, this is enough. But you're right. I think once they traded some of those veteran players that they won a championship with, I think Mike Malone was tired of it. Like, yeah, we do have the best player, but this roster, I want to favor this. And plus their bench is they don't have a bench. They rely on their starters enough, too much, I think, too, on top of that. And, they were thinking about, okay, Westbrook, he wants to play him. And then Booth said, let's prioritize the younger talent that they had through the draft. And he said there was dissension already. It had become toxic. But just to do it right before the playoffs, I would have, like you said, maybe they both wanted out, but I would have probably waited until after the playoffs just to see. But they were on a losing streak too, on top of that, and you could tell Joker was getting frustrated. And now, so maybe the new coach will maybe he'll turn it around, but I don't think he have enough time either. We'll see what happens with Denver. But Damian, what do you think of Mike Malone and Calvin Booth getting fired? What was your reaction to that?
I echo what you guys said. It just seemed like there was so much disconnect and so much drama going on between those two. You would think that maybe the organization would choose one, but maybe it was like, man, both of y'all gotta get out of here. The drama that y'all
causing. As a package, right?
Yeah. And for me, you mentioned how Mike Malone likes the vets. He wants to rock with Russell Westbrook. He wanted to rock with the veterans, but they lost the veterans that he wanted to rock with. Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, KCP, big losses. And once you lose those guys who can defend up front, now the bad part of Jokic's game gets exposed. He can't. He's not a good defender. He leads the league. He was getting steals, right? But people see those 2-point whatever steals and think that makes you a good defender. It doesn't. It doesn't, because he's given up the most points at the rim in the league, period. So, and because they don't have the defenders who can stop the penetration anymore, that's even worse. Now it's been something that's been multiplied because of that. And I don't know if Mike Malone could come up with a scheme to stop that. I don't know if there is one when you don't have the players to do it, because your only defender that you think of as like a real defender is Aaron Gordon, but Aaron Gordon is better against wings besides guards. So you don't have somebody to stop, a guard who wants to get into the lane, who are even some of the quicker wings to get into the lane. And once they get into the lane, they know this guy can't block my shot. I can just go to the rim, get my layup, get my dunk, and go on. So that's the issue. You lost the pieces that made it work for the championship.
Yeah.
And then when you lose those pieces, Calvin Booth, I can see why he was fired. Mike Malone, but some of the things that came out with this situation and with the Suns, it's like, are these players just being too sensitive?
Yeah.
Because with the whole thing, I joked about it earlier with Bradley Beal. I don't know how how Mike Budenholzer said it. But for me, I interpret it as him saying, well, I want you to play like Drew Holiday. It's like, I need you to play this role. I need you to be somebody. I think you can play defense on this level. Now, can he be a Drew Holiday level defender? No. If he had that ability, he would have showed it in some type of capacity.
Yeah.
But could he be better on defense? Absolutely. So that's probably what he was at. Like, let me challenge him and let me see if he's going to take this challenge and be great on defense. And instead, he took it as a slight, even though Drew Holiday most likely is going to be in the Hall of Fame and Bradley Beal's not. And he took it as a slight to be compared to or be the axe to play like Drew Holiday. And with the Nuggets, seems like they were taking what Mike Malone was saying and be like, we're not trying to deal with this no more. This dude getting on us, calling us out about not watching film. We're not trying to deal with that. We make too much money to deal with that. I'm not trying to deal with that.
Yep.
And it seems like that's part of what's going on with the coaches as well, where the coaches have to find a balance between massaging these players' egos while also coaching. And that has to be very hard to do when you're at the top level and you just want to coach. You're like, yeah, we need you to do this. And you're getting paid 30, 40, 50 million dollars. Do this. And like we're asking you to do, and be great. And let's see if we can let me guide you like I'm supposed to do as a coach. And it seems like coaches may not have the leash to be able to do that now.
No, you're right about that. These coaches don't even last anymore, a year, two at the most in some ways. And you're right. These are championship coaches that's won championships. And I get it. Like sometimes their voice just, the players start to like turn their backs. And because we saw it during this season with Denver, Aaron Gordon, he was clashing with him. And then Jamal Murray, when they won the championship, he was that guy. He was the second guy. Now he took a step back, injuries. He's struggling a little bit, and you had to rely on him because you said Joker gonna get his numbers and do what he does, but is the pieces around him the same? It's not. Like you said, you named all the veterans that they lost, and that's what helped them alleviate some of the pressure off Joker. He got average like 40 at least for them to even have a chance, but that takes away for all the other things he does best, passing and rebounding and things like that. But it's still, I don't know. And then their matchup, let's get into the playoffs now. We'll talk about like our favorite matchups in the West. We'll start in the West. And their matchup against the Clippers might be one of the best matchups out there in the West. I want to see how Denver responds now, like I said, with the new coach. But the Clippers, they could be dangerous. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna fall for it anymore because every time we do this every year. Every year it's like, oh, James Harden, here he comes. Kawhi Leonard, he's healthy. He looks like Toronto's Kawhi Leonard, and we're seeing it. But I don't know. Just it feels different. But I don't think I'm gonna fall for that. They had a great year. They had a way more surprising year than I thought they was gonna. I didn't think they were gonna be this good, but man, they did a tremendous job, especially when Kawhi came back. He's ramping up now, so hopefully he doesn't get injured at all. But what do you guys think of this series and the matchups with this series? I still feel like Harden's going to have one of those, kind of 2 or 3 of those games where you're going to be like, oh, there's the real Harden. There it is. So that's why I'm not falling for it. I don't know about you guys, but James, I'll start with you. Do you think Clippers can they beat Denver? Or will they beat Denver? Or do you think Denver will, now with the new coaching hire, the intern coach, will they turn that around and try to play that championship basketball?
I think they have the pieces to do what Damian said. They're going to expose Jokic. I think for what he can't do defensively, they have the three pieces who will do it. Norm, James, Kawhi playing like he's playing right now. They'll attack that paint from all different angles, and there's nobody there to stop them.
Right.
And because they're playing that way right now, the Clippers are playing that way. They're in attack mode. That is what will stop a team like Denver right now. They just don't have it on that end. And I think that's what Malone was asking for. He had the audacity to ask the MVP to play defense. He had the audacity to ask a former MVP, first ballot Hall of Fame Russ, to play better defense. He had the audacity to ask Aaron Gordon to pick it up on the defensive end. And they didn't want to do that. It wasn't what they were used to. They didn't have to. They had players who took care of that.
Mhm.
They didn't have them, and they didn't want to be the ones to make up for what they didn't have. The Clippers are going to expose their paint, and they're going to drive to that basket and treat Jokic like a standstill dummy. Hands up, no resistance, and I do think it's going to be a good series, but I do think the Clippers are going to find a way to expose what he does. Now, Jokic can go nuclear on offense, and it's a wrap. It goes the other way.
Yeah.
And it's very possible that he does that. And I don't give praise to Jokic.
Yes, we know.
But he can't do defensively. Not
Right.
because I don't think he's great.
Right.
I don't think he's great offensively, but I've been saying it for years. He is a wide open door on defense. I can attack the paint at 46 and have basketball in however many years, and I'm getting floaters over him all day. I'm laying his face. So I think that if he can find anything defensively, if they can just pick it up defensively a little bit and give some resistance and still continue to do what they can do offensively, then they win this series. This is a good series. I think it goes 6.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7. It is one of my favorite series to look at. Not my favorite, but one of them. But I do think that I personally have the Clippers winning this series 6 because defensively they'll expose Denver.
Yeah, and I think with Jokic too, I'm a big fan of Jokic, and he the thing that the most defensive that what he doesn't play the D is he can't move his feet. That's the issue. And like you said, those guys, Kawhi and Harden and Norman Powell, they can attack that, and especially Harden and Kawhi, they can attack him with the pick and roll, get him in the pick and roll. Now, I do think Jokic over the last couple of years has improved a little, slightly defensively, but still not good. He's still not good.
Yeah.
I can definitely agree with that.
Good.
Yeah, he's improved a little, but people still attack him. But like you said, on the other end, he can, like you said, he could go nuclear this whole series. And they have Zubac has had an excellent year. I mean, he's improved big time. And that's a matchup I'm looking to see. But can Zubac stay out of foul trouble? I think that's another key because he's gonna have to guard, and he can, but he's gonna have to guard Joker for 40 plus minutes. Can he stay on the floor and do that? Now they go small with that too. But I think another key too, and Damien, you go ahead. I think Lou versus David Adelman, that could be a key too for the Clippers. Tyronn Lue, championship coach, and can he, he's going to make a lot of good schemes against Denver. And like I said, what the hangover with Denver with Mike Malone thing, that they can use that as motivation too. But again, I think Murray too. I think that's another. They're going to need him to be championship Jamal Murray to have a chance because they're, like I said, their bench is way less in the factor than it's been. They have hardly no bench really, and they need Murray, but the hamstrings, the knees, whatever it is, that guy's always banged up too. So, but I think they definitely need Murray to be Murray from 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We'll see if they got it. But what do you think, Damon? Are you falling for the Clippers again, or are we taking Denver in this series?
Man, it feels different, like you said. For some reason, it feels different this year with Kawhi, even with James. The thing is, James hasn't even shot well this year, but it feels like the impact he has on the offense, especially pre-Kawhi coming back, was major. And you could feel the impact. You can feel his impact on Zubac. Zubac has an amazing year this year. Yep. He's been really good on defense. He's one of the few people who actually can stand up with Jokic and kind of handle his own. Right. Of course, no one can stop him, but he's one of the few players where you can leave him on an island with Joker and may not have to send help. And that could be the thing. So you could see Joker have nights where he has 40, 50 points, but he only has 2 assists because no one's leaving their guys. They're staying home and allowing Zubac to handle his own down there. So if he's scoring 40, 50, but only getting 2 assists, and Jamal Murray's going 2 for 10. Michael Porter Jr. is shooting 11 threes, but only hitting 2 of them. You have no one else. Christian Brown is having a bad game. Russell Westbrook's being left wide open. Like they're not even saying self-check because they're not worried about your shot.
Yep.
This is what you can see in this series. So I'm right there with Jamus. I'm going Clippers in 6 in this one. I'm thinking Kawhi is going to go nuts in this series.
Man, I guess I'm not going with the Clippers. I do agree with both of what y'all saying, but I can't. And as much as I love Kawhi, and I love that seeing him healthy and looking like Kawhi from Toronto, where he took that team on his back, and he could do this. There's that last name, he's the service of my last name, James Harden, sometimes in the playoffs, and but it might be a little different, but I just can't. I just feel like the real Harden's going to stand up, and he's going to cause a couple games in this series. But the Tyronn Lue thing does that gives me something to say. Okay, he's going to scheme a lot, and he's such a good coach. But I think Denver can win this series. I think Joker's going to go. He's going to go nuclear regardless. I got Denver in 7. I think it's going to go 7. This is going to be one of the better series. But I think Denver having home court as well. They're the 4th seed. That can help a little. So I got Denver. I got Denver in 7. I think Jamal Murray might have maybe 1 or 2 series in him still. I'm still a believer in Jamal Murray, so I'm looking to see what he could do. But it's the other guys, Michael Porter, and that's one thing too. Mike Malone I don't think he liked Michael Porter at all because he would bench him on a lot of. And then yes, he didn't play defense either, but like that. But this guy can score and got the size and could get his shot off. And when he got hot, it just seemed like Mike Malone was sitting. And I'm thinking, what's the rotations and stuff? So that was one other thing. So maybe Michael Porter Jr. will get have a series in this too. So they're gonna need him too, and Aaron Gordon, hopefully. So maybe Denver can turn back the clock. We'll see. But I got Denver in.
That's the thing 7. That's tough with MPJ though, because he's just very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
He's hitting threes and scoring. Yep. Or he's not having any type of impact besides being a turncoat on defense. Yeah. So either if he's not hitting, what is he doing for you besides just standing out there being 6'10"?
Right. He's going
to have to fight back because Kawhi's going to come at his face.
Yeah.
And whoever it is that he's going to guard, it doesn't matter. He's going to be out there. If it's not Jokic in the pick and roll, it's going to be Michael Porter Jr. Whoever is guarding, he's guarding. Unless they find a way to hide him, and even then, they're going right after him.
Yeah.
If he doesn't fight back on offense and knock down a bunch of threes, and at least grab about 5 to 6 rebounds to help out, it's going to be more of just him not showing up than it is really Mike Malone losing faith in him, or just losing faith in him. He's got to step up his game. I love Michael Porter Jr., but he's got to figure out a way to do something, even if it's not bring it defensively. He's got to fight back on offense. He can't go 2 for 11 from the 3-point line, 4 for 17 from the floor. That's not going to work in this series, and it's not going to work against James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Norman Powell. They're going to light him up.
Yeah, they're going hunting. That's one thing the Clippers are going to do. They're going to go hunting for a couple of those guys, and you might need Aaron Gordon to guard Kawhi. You might have to go with that, and that might be the only way because, like you said, man, Michael Porter's going to he'll be hunted, and Joker he'll get hunted too. But we'll see. That's going to be a really good series. Sure. Let's see any other. And there's other series. I think OKC. I think they're going to beat whoever comes out.
We don't need to talk about that one.
Yeah. Dallas.
Pull out the brooms.
Dallas and Memphis. Before I thought Memphis might have a shot. Not beating OKC, but at least giving them something. Maybe they'll get one, but I don't think Dallas is going to get a game at all if they win that. They win the play-in. So OKC looks like they definitely had a favorites, especially in the first round for sure. Let's go to Lakers and Timberwolves. I'm interested in this series too. We kind of talked about the Lakers and getting Luka. See how that's going to look like with LeBron and Minnesota and that size. Again, another team with size could give them fits. Damian, what do you think of this one? Minnesota coming off, they look like a completely different. They're definitely a different team from last season. Losing Cat and everything too, and got Julius Randle and everything too. Seems like Minnesota is starting to pick it up, and we'll see if can Anthony Edwards can he lead this team again to get to the conference finals, get past the Lakers first. But what do you think of this series?
I'm very interested in this series. the way you feel about James Harden, that's how I feel about Julius Randle. Like, I gotta see it. I gotta see it happen come playoff time because the way he scores, it looks amazing when it's going in, but it's so many difficult shots.
Black
so many
hole.
turnaround 17-footers. Like if he's not able to like bully his way into the lane, those turnaround, those mid-range, they are really tough shots. And they're really tough in the playoffs when you're playing against the same team 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
So that's why his playoff numbers have been really bad, and it's how he's been in the playoffs. So for me, that's where I would worry about for the Wolves. Ant's going to bring it. Yeah. Ant's going to bring it. Even if he's not shooting well, he's going to find a way to bring it on both ends. I like their role players. Like I like even Rudy Gobert. I think had an underrated season this year defensively. Like he's really good defensively this year. Naz Reid should have been brought up more in the 6th man of the year conversation. Like they have a good team, but the Lakers I think just have too much. Luka, he's gonna go hunting for Rudy. Like poor Rudy, man. He's gonna go hunting for Rudy. Ugh. They got to try to find a way to stop that from happening. Then you got LeBron who's gonna try to hunt Rudy down. And you got, Mike Conley. Love Mike Conley, but he's going to get hunted because of his lack of size.
Yeah.
And Austin Reeves has turned up this year. The lack of size for LA could bite him at certain points, but if they're spreading them out to where you're playing Rudy off the court, that's the thing that's going to be the equalizer.
Yep.
So I got Lakers in 6. I think they guys got a little too much firepower. I could see Anthony Edwards going crazy a couple of games and winning the Wolves a couple of games, but overall, the Lakers are just too talented. So give me Lakers in 6.
Yeah, and I think with getting Luka, as you said, he had a. I mean, when he got to LA, he had a okay year. I mean, not to his standards. They try to, he had a pretty good year, but he's starting to feel like okay, playing with LeBron, and LeBron just, LeBron he want Anthony Davis to be that guy. Now he got Luka, so LeBron can just sit back and think like, okay. We've seen what Luka can do in the playoffs. We've seen what he can do with that. I think he said he's going to go hunting. Another guy that's going to go hunting for, except for Rudy Gobert, for Julius Randle. They're going to probably have to play Naz. They're going to have to play Naz Reid. They're going to have to play him in that lineup. I think you said you're right. I think that the size of Minnesota can expose the Lakers' lack of center, lack of size that they have, but I got the Lakers in 6 also. I think they do have a little too much, and they're going to load up on Anthony Edwards, even though he's going to get his regardless. But I feel like the Lakers getting Luka, this is what they got him for, to see what he's done in the past in the playoffs. And yeah, I think he's going to have a huge series. But James, what do you think of this Lakers in Minnesota? How does this match up for you?
I got this as a 7 pick 'em.
Okay.
Naz Reid is my X factor.
Okay.
They have nobody who can guard a focused Naz Reid on LA.
Right.
Nobody. I think it's going to be a Olympic situation for Rudy. Can't bring it defensively. He's going to sit.
Yep.
Naz Reid is going to come out, and I think it's going to be all right to have him and Randall out there on the floor. I think that's probably better for them.
Yeah.
To have them out there on the floor. Mike Conley is the one that kind of hurts. They don't have anybody behind him to kind of help him out when he's kind of left out on an island trying to guard Austin Reeves or trying to guard Luka in the switch.
Who do you put Conley on?
And that's what I mean. They don't. It doesn't matter who he guards. They're going to find a way to. They're going to cross match him every time. So the only player who can do it is Alexander, and he's had a decent year. But I don't know if at that level against that talent, Luka and LeBron, if he gets caught in a cross match, if he can do it consistently, I think he can do it. I'd like him. I think he can really do it. But when you're looking at that roster, do they have enough? They're going to have to, they might need to bring him in to alleviate Anthony Edwards defensively a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I do think when you have Luka and LeBron, what are you going to do?
Right. Poison.
And Austin Reeves is playing great basketball. He's not playing I'm a third guy. He's playing. I'm that guy. You can't forget about me if you want to.
Yep.
I'm going to put up 40 on your head. And it's not Chris Bosh standing in the corner. And again, I think Chris Bosh was amazing. And I love Chris Bosh. But it's not, I'm just going to take my role and stand in the corner. It's that ball comes back to me on the swing. I'm driving to the hoop.
And dunking on somebody.
I'm getting mine right now.
Yep.
And that's why I think it's kind of a pick 'em. I'm gonna say LA in 7.
Okay.
But I really don't know if it's gonna be. I can't call it for sure.
Yeah.
Just because I think it just depends on how they run, how things run, and what Minnesota decides to do. If they decide to say, "Hey, Rudy, this isn't the series for you,"
yep,
then I think they got a good chance. If they decide to say, "Hey, Rudy, you're our guy no matter what," and they're losing 6.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the Wolves, they are bigger. They're a bigger team, a little bit deeper, and they did go 17-4 in their last 21. So they're playing hot right now.
Well, yeah,
they're playing very well. But like you said, LeBron, Luka, playoffs. I think it's going to be the Lakers in 6. But I can see. I agree. I can see Minnesota could steal. If they get game 1, especially. It's like, okay, is this Minnesota? What you said, what they're going to do? They're going to play Rudy. They're not going to play Rudy too much. It just depends. And you're right. Down the stretch, he played very well. Down the stretch, he played very well. But like, can he take advantage of the Lakers' lack of size? Rudy's just not that type of player.
He's not the guy.
He's not that type of player. He's not that type of player. You would think that would be the X factor right there. He'd take that because Dorian Finney-Smith at center. That just doesn't work against that. But then he's got a guard. He's got a guard on the perimeter, and we see he's in a spin cycle when it comes to they hunt him. Lukas and LeBrons and the Stephs and those guys, they hunt.
A lot of lobs. If
a lot of lobs. Yeah, a lot of lobs.
City with the purple and gold, and that's what you just don't want to do that to him in this situation. And you can't ask him to do much offensively. He's not going to be that guy to do that.
Right. And I agree with Dick. I think Austin Reeves, he could be the X factor because, like you said, he's not just a third guy. This guy he take the ball, he tries to take it on somebody's head a lot of times. I love the way he plays, man. Like, especially now over the last 2 years, he's improved so much. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if can Ant just lead this team again. And he's capable. He's totally capable. But all right, last series is the Houston and Golden State. Golden State gets in. I love this. I love this series, man. I'm looking forward to it because of the trash talk and Houston. They playing so. They look like we ready for this. But that experience, that it goes a long way. And then the last time Steph played these guys, he only had 3 points, and now they talking about they're the Steph stoppers and all this. You talk about a guy that can go nuclear. Y'all know how I feel about my man Chef Curry. And then playoff Jimmy is activated again too. So let's see. I mean, Houston, the 2 seed, and Golden State. But James, we'll start with you on this one. You like this matchup for either which one you like, and can Houston and their lack of experience beat a team with so much championship experience, from the coaching to a couple of the players? Jimmy has been to the finals a couple of times. They've looked. Sometimes the Golden State looks like a championship caliber team. Other times they look like they lose to San Antonio. So so they got that type of thing. So what do you think of this match? Who you got winning?
Reluctantly, I have Golden State. Just simply because Houston's a better team. They have a better roster.
Yeah.
Their organization is better, but the wisdom and the way that they're playing right now in Golden State, and I'm going to include Draymond. Draymond is able to be Draymond because he doesn't have to do much but run his mouth and grab some rebounds.
And miss layups. So as long as
he can miss layups. But he can look like a Hall of Fame basketball player.
Sometimes
go back to that position because Jimmy is being Jimmy.
Yeah.
Steph is being Steph.
Right.
So that allows Draymond to look like, oh man, Draymond's a first ballot Hall of Famer. No, he's not. He's a first ballot quote writer. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because that veteran presence, those three guys, man, they're playing great basketball. That organization has those with those three, they're playing fantastic basketball.
Yeah.
When they're on, when
Yes.
they're locked
Yeah.
in.
Right. No.
Problem is that bench, and those young guys are that's the ball and chain. If they're coming to play, if they decide to release Kuminga from jail on that bench,
it's crazy.
if they decide to get Trey in the ball game at all, if they can get anything from Pod, if they can get anything from Buddy, they should beat this team up.
Yeah.
But those guys are not the talented players that Houston has. Houston has Asar Thompson. Wait, which one? Amen.
Amen.
Thompson is going to take a jump in this playoff. He is my dark horse player to take it to the next level. Him and Jalen Duren are my dark horse players to take their game to the next level.
Yeah, I like that.
In the playoffs. What he can do on both ends of the floor is amazing. His athleticism. I think he's going to have a battle on his hands with Jimmy. He's going to take it personally, and they're going to be going back and forth, and it's going to be fun to watch. Yeah. That's what makes this series one of my favorite to look at. Is there's going to be a lot of back and forth with players. It's going to be chippy. It's going to feel like playoff basketball.
Yeah.
Supposed to, the way I remember watching. It's going to feel good. But I think those young guys are just not there yet. Jalen Green is just not there yet for this level. This is a hard level for them to beat.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they can't do it. I just think it's hard for me to bet against Steph and Jimmy, and I will include Dre against this team.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm giving it to Houston if this is what we deal with. But right now, I'm going with Golden State just on their sheer veteran, their savvy, their years in the league. And the fact of the matter is Steph and Jimmy are playing really good basketball right now.
Yeah, they what do you call them? The Batman and Robin. That's what it is. That's what Jimmy said.
That's just Batman and Robin. That's I don't know what level of Batman and Robin this is, but this sure isn't the original Boom Boom Pat Batman and Robin. This is a different level of Batman and Robin. This duo is different right now.
Yeah, and I think getting Jimmy and he fit right in. I was skeptical. I didn't know what we were gonna get out of Jimmy, like what Jimmy we were gonna get. It's working now, so that's a good thing. Now next year we'll see what happens.
He wants to get paid, and
get paid.
They gave him money. They gave him the money.
They paid him.
Money.
What else is he gonna want? They got that out the way,
right? And ticking time bomb him and Draymond. That whole thing. It's working now until Draymond runs his mouth, and then Jimmy runs his mouth, and it's not gonna be a Jordan Poole type of situation. Jimmy won't be taking that from or KD. He won't be taking that. This Jimmy a little different when it comes to that. But you're right. I agree with the youth, the athleticism, the size of the Houston Rockets. Should give this Warriors team a problem, should give them some issues. Yeah. But Golden State, they're a good defensive team. When they're locked in, they could be a real good defensive team, even with Steph on the floor. No, he's no black hole defensively. He's not a good defender, but he does try. He can play. He can play when he's locked in. But on the other end, what he does. Steph does Steph. That's what he does. I think he's going to take it personal because of what they did to shut him down. That's a team that you don't see that often, where he only scores 3 points and everything too. So Steph's going to come out and trying to fire on all cylinders and everything too.
Game one.
Yep. Yes.
Calling it right now.
Yeah.
36 game one.
At least. I think it's going to be a 30-point night too, and then Jimmy can score 30. Like I said, that's a real thing. The playoff Jimmy is a real thing. I think Curry's got enough in the tank to do it. Like you said, Draymond can just now be Draymond. He don't have to do so much. He can just do what he does. Yeah, and he's gonna try to get in the head of a lot of these young guys as well. And there's gonna be chippy, like you said, it's gonna be that. I got Warriors in 6 in this one too, just because of that experience. If they can just play Kuminga, I just want Kuminga to play. Oh my goodness, I just want him to play because this is the type of series they could use his athleticism against this team. And I hope there's just something, but I don't know. Sometimes Steve Kerr, just his coaching, sometimes I think I don't know if it's pride or his ego. He relies on his veterans. I get it, but that gets in the way sometimes of his rotations. That can cause a series too. But I think hopefully Kuminga can get dusted off and let him play in this series. But Damian, what do you think of this matchup between the Warriors and the Rockets?
Man, I'm really excited for this series because it's such a difference in experience, right? And it's like an experiment on, is this experience going to overcome this youth and athleticism? Because Houston's team as a whole is so athletic.
Yeah.
Like Amin Thompson may be the most athletic guy in the league. Like he's on that type of level when it comes to athleticism. Someone like Cam Whitmore is just like a human bowling ball. He's just mad athletic. Jalen Green, mad athletic. But that's my key. Jalen Green. Jamus mentioned it.
Yep.
Jalen Green, if he can be good, if he can give them 3 or 4 games where he's shooting over 45% from the field, he's shooting over 35% from 3, he's making good decisions, he's not getting bad turnovers.
Bad shot selection.
Yeah, bad shot selection. If he's good for 3 or 4 games, Houston wins this series. But I don't see him being good for 4 games against this Warriors defense. It's a lot to ask of him at this point. Sengun, I think, is going to have a good series because they don't have the size to mess with him, right?
Yeah.
They put Draymond on. Draymond's too small. You put Looney on him. Looney's too slow. They don't really have anybody to match up with him. So I think Sengun could have a good series. Ime Udoka is going to have some stuff schemed up.
Yep.
Ready for Steph, ready for Jimmy. But again, that experience, they're going to find a way to get around the scheme and to, have their games. But I won't be surprised we see some old school 98, 95 type scores. Like, I can see a couple of games like that where you're like, man, it'll remind people like it's fun to watch defensive basketball. Like, they slow it down. You playing defense, every possession matters. Like, it's fun to watch this type of game. You're going to see a couple of those in this series.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with the Jalen Green thing. Can he be consistent enough in a 7-game series where his shot, if the shot's not falling, what else can he do? What else will he do? That's the key. I agree with that. But both you guys on Jalen Green, can that be the key? Sengun and Steven Adams, will they go that beast mode big against this Warriors team and really?
That 2 big lineup could be the difference if they try that and it works.
It works. Yeah,
and it works. Because lack
of
size
turns the table a little bit. That turns
lacks of size. And the only thing on the other end of the floor, Steph and Jimmy are gonna, again, we talk about hunting. Steph's gonna hunt those matchups, and Draymond. One of the things he is good at is that dribble handoff and the pick. Yeah. He does that one of the best. Like, he know when he's not shooting those wild shots, thinking he can be this top caliber player. Draymond just plays within the system, shoot when he's open. Because he's done it in his career. He can knock down shots when he's open. He can get into that. But
his 3-point shot has been more reliable the last 2 years.
Then his layups for sure. But, that missed layup against the Clippers was crazy. He tried to go for the foul. Like, just go up, man. And like he said in the last when they beat Memphis, he said Steph told him about when he shot that 3 in the corners in a nicest way. Please don't shoot.
Don't shoot.
run. We're gonna run our stuff and
run it through.
Yeah. He said, swing it and get the pick, and get out of the way. Steph hits 2 threes to
win. The ball in the middle, you can pass. Now we're in your wheelhouse.
Don't shoot those corner threes or anything like that unless it's the last resort.
Ball.
Yeah. Stuff like, give me the ball. The nicest way he said, don't shoot that ball and everything. But I do like Golden State here in this series in 6. Like you said, I think it's going to be one of those. He said those tough playoff basketball that we grew up on. Type of series, but you said Steph's gonna have a couple games where you're gonna think, okay, he's gonna have 35, 40, and especially at home where he can go nuclear and be that USA type of courier like what we just saw just a couple of days ago as well. And plus, though they don't have back to backs either, so they get rest, and that helps veteran teams like Golden State and the Lakers and other teams that are veterans. So I do like that. So, all right, let's move on to the East. Like I said, we don't probably have to talk about the Cavs. I don't even know.
Cavs Heat.
Heat. Yep, eliminated.
Yep.
I just saw that. Yep. Trae Young did have to lay out the fourth overtime, but it is the Cavs and Heat. I don't think we got to talk too much about that one. I think the Cavs are either going to sweep or get them in 5.
Yeah, I'm going Cavs in 5.
Yeah, me too. I think Miami can hold up defensively against the Cavs, but do they have enough to score? Do they have enough to score with the Cavs? I don't see that either. What do you think, James? You think this is just Cavs and sweep or 5?
Gentlemen sweep. I don't think it's going to be as competitive. Miami they're just not as good as they have been in the past. Let's just be honest. They're just not the same team. And Cleveland has too many weapons. I think it's going to they may get one, but a gentleman sweep.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a gentleman sweep too. And Cleveland's they got rim protectors all across, and it's going to be hard for Miami to score as well. So I definitely have the Cavs too. It could be a gentleman sweep for sure. Let's get into Celtics Magic. The Celtics I think they got too much. As much as I thought Orlando, the injuries had hurt their season. Yeah. They got in, but I think Boston they're my champion. I think they come out of the East anyway, but they're the champions, and if they're healthy and they shoot a lot of threes, they can beat you in a lot of ways. What do you guys think of this series? Damian, I'll start with you on the Celtics and Magic.
I think you'll have some interesting points where the Magic's defense will keep some games close, but offensively they're just so challenged when it comes to putting the ball in the basket that Boston's going to run away at certain points. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple competitive games, though, even if it gets like a Boston in 6. But it wouldn't be a Boston in 6 where they're scared, where you're like actually thinking they're going to lose the series. It'll just be like, okay, Magic got hot this game. They actually hit some shots and they won a couple. So I'm going Boston. I'm going to go Boston in 6. But it's going to be like a comfortable 6, not a 6 where you're actually afraid that they're going to lose.
Yeah, and Boston has a history of giving a game or two in series too. We've seen that over the years, especially in this era of the Celtics as well. And they'll just continue to keep shooting until they're like, okay, we're gonna hit some shots. But I just think Boston has too much. And if Porzingis is another one, if stay healthy, he's the X factor as always. But Orlando, they're big, they're young. They play defense too. They do play some defense. They got guys that can play D. They could make you. I agree with you, Damon, on that. I think they can make it interesting. But I think Celtics they should win in 5, but it could be 6 because I think they will. They'll lack. If they go up 2-0, they'll take their foot off the gas and then say, okay, Orlando get 1. Okay, now we got to win game 4 and all that. But it'll be a comfortable 5 or 6 too. I agree. What do you think, James, of this Celtics and Orlando series?
I agree. I think I think I had it in 5. Just them sleepwalking through a game. Maybe taking the foot off the gas. Maybe giving Jaylen Brown another couple of days rest. Doing something like that where they'll concede a game, maybe 2. But Orlando's still missing Suggs. They're still missing Wagner. But they're doing the opposite of what I think Denver and Phoenix did. They play hard for them.
Yep.
They play for him, and they'll compete. If they had all of their weapons, I think they would make this. It's going to be as competitive as it could be. I think it would be a very good test for Boston in the first round if they had all of their weapons, because I think Orlando was up and coming in that way, and I think that they're playing to that level. But Boston is Boston right now, and there's not much that Orlando is going to be able to do to stop that train once it gets going.
Yeah, and I think also too with Orlando, they they do a lot of switching and everything. I think Tatum's gonna have a big playoff series because he's been hearing all the talk about he's not this, he's not that. I'm like, this guy's a champion, always MVP candidate, and think he's hearing all the noise. I think he's gonna take it personal this playoffs and really do his thing. And then Boston's deep too. They've got a pretty good guy, good team, a really good team. And Orlando has trouble scoring, shooting at least. They struggle with that too. So can they keep up? But you're right, Boston, they can't get lackadaisical against this type of team like Orlando, who will steal a game or two. But I feel like they now the playoffs is here. You said Jaylen Brown, even though with the injury, he'll have days off. I think Boston's going to want to get this series quickly done so they can get some rest and keep their guys healthy. So yeah, I like the Celtics in this one. We had Trevor in here earlier. He said, I'm just here to say that the Knicks shall rise. He says, big old Knicks fan, fanatic he is. Let's get into that series. I mean, Detroit stand up, man. They turn it around. Detroit is in the playoffs for the first time in I think since 2000, and they haven't won a playoff game since 2008. So that's huge. They're making the playoffs and they had a tremendous season. When they play in Game 3 against the Knicks, Detroit's gonna be rocking. We haven't heard that in a long time. This is a tough physical team playing against the Knicks, they're tough too. So what do you think of this series, Jamus? The Knicks have some trouble in this series. I mean, Detroit. I mean, they're playing with house money basically. They made the playoffs. I think they can get the Knicks a little bit of a run. I'm not picking them to win, but I think they can give. They're going to make the Knicks work with this. What do you think of how the Knicks how can Detroit attack the Knicks? What do you think of the series?
This is my favorite series. And this is with the Knicks. And I do not like them.
Yeah.
But this is the series that I think, like Houston and Golden State, it's gonna be physical. There's gonna be a good test from Detroit to the Knicks. Yeah. I do have the Knicks winning this series. This is the series I think they'll get. But I think a Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren ascension comes to this series. I think as good as Cade Cunningham was this year, I think having to go up against Brunson at this level of basketball is going to take his game to another level.
Right.
Where he moves beyond somebody like Brunson, right? With what he can do on the floor. He's this close to being the best point guard in the league. And I think he's going to take his lessons from this series and come back next year as one of the best players in the league. I think Jalen Duren is a man at 20, barely.
Yes.
Right? I've seen this kid. I took Jalen to watch this kid play and down at the Armory here in Albany when he was 17 and he looked 30.
He's a man's man, a young man.
He was a grown man.
Grown man, yeah.
He made me reassess my mind a little bit. If I'm not battling with this young boy. This young boy is gonna clean me up. He's playing like that now in the league. This is 2 years later, right? 3 years later. I think I loved his game watching him. I knew he translated, and he was on the floor on a team with Derek Lively and Cleveland kid just got a chance. His game just jumped out of my head. He had like 25, 30 the last game of the season. Came out of the G League.
I'm trying to think. Hold on. Yep, we can look it up.
Michigan, went to Eastern Michigan. His name just jumped right out of my head. Anyway, was the number one player in high school then, and Jalen Duren was by far the best player on that roster. And I think his ascension is coming. I think what he brings can hurt the Knicks because they I don't know, Mitchell Robinson in and out. We know Cat doesn't like to get physical, but this is the opposite. If we get Big Bodega, Cat, it's going to be a problem. Normal Cat, it's still going to be a problem, but early season Cat, he was a headache. And he was the reason why people were like, man, he's one of the best bigs in the league. But
we'll see what happens. I just think the ascension will work for Jalen Duren and Cade, but the Knicks just, they're playing good basketball right now.
Yeah.
OG's playing good basketball right now. Mikal Bridges is playing good basketball right now. If they can keep that same momentum with Jalen on the floor,
yeah,
Detroit's not beating that team. That's not a team Detroit's going to be able to beat. You know that they're going to play that 5. You know they're going to play a ton.
yep.
That's just what Tibbs does. But I do think it's going to be really physical. It's going to be really fun to watch, to see these young kids try to prove themselves, because ultimately I think they want to take the next step. Even Asar, I think, would have been decent in this playoff series. I think it's gonna be fun to watch, but I do have the Knicks probably in 6 at most, probably 5, but it's gonna be really tight games all the way through.
You were talking about Naquan Tomlin?
No.
Chumo. I'm just going through the roster real quick.
Maybe Jalen
Tyson?
Nope, on Cleveland.
Yeah. Imani Bates.
Imani Bates, thank you.
Bates, yep, there it is. Yeah. Michigan's, yep.
Imani Bates was the number 1 player in the country that year.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek Lively, he was on the roster with Derek Lively and Jalen Duren, and they were playing here in the tournament. Jalen Duren, nobody could touch him. They bounced off him like Hulk. It was really, and I mean, it wasn't even just he dunking and rebounding. His mid-range game was really good. Yeah. All of the things you see him do in the league right now, he was polishing up at high school, going into Memphis, and he took his game to the next level. I think he's on the way. He's coming.
Yeah, I like, yes, and I'm glad, like you said, Detroit turned around, 14-win turnaround. It was excellent, great for them. 6th seed. They said they haven't had a lot of success in a long time. They're feisty, they're physical, they're tough.
Yeah.
And I think with Cade Cunningham taking that next step, like you said, this would be a great experience for him. The Knicks can throw, like I said, they can throw a couple big long wings at him with Mikal Bridges and OG. They really, and the Knicks it's one of those things, like they dominated teams that weren't, that they didn't dominate Boston, Cleveland, those top teams, but teams like Detroit and them, that's what they've done. And you said Thibodeau gonna rely on his starters, and I think they'll wear Detroit out. I got the Knicks in at least. I think they win in 6. It's gonna be a tough series. I think Detroit will get at least 1 or 2, but the Knicks should. Their experience should overwhelm Detroit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Damian, what do you think of this series? The Knicks and the Pistons. Is this one of your favorite series in the East?
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of my favorites. It's one where it's really interesting to see a team full of like stars in New York going against this team with 1 star and so many role players in Detroit. But my thing is, do we trust Cat? Did Cat really earn our trust with the playoffs he had last year? Because we got to remember, Cat be having those moments.
Yes, a lot of them. A lot of them in the playoffs.
Where you just like, what's going on, Cat? Like, why are you doing this? Why you got 5 fouls in the third quarter?
Right. 3 in the first minute, 2 minutes in the game.
Yeah, what's happening, Cat?
Yeah.
And I feel like this series is set up for him to have those moments, because Detroit in the regular season did a great job of picking on Cat in the pick and roll, making him uncomfortable, making him guard out in space. And also with Jalen Brunson doesn't want to be on Cade. They want to stop that from happening, which opens up other things on the offense. And Jalen Brunson has just recently came back from that ankle.
Yep.
So I think there's things pulling towards Detroit's favor. I might sound crazy. I think Cade has a coming out party.
Okay.
I think that the team, they even mentioned my guy 3 Beasley. I hit all the threes.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris is in a comfortable role, being that second, third option.
Right.
Like Tim Hardaway Jr. can get it going. This team has a shot, and I'm gonna say it. I'm going Pistons in 7, baby.
Okay, beat them at Madison Square. Wow. Okay, that's the upset.
I like it.
Yeah. Gotta have one. at the least. And that would be something if they did that. And the one thing the coach on Detroit, JB Bickerstaff, he said he got multiple wing options that he can lead. Now they all have their limitations for sure, but if he can throw that out and kind of disrupt the Knicks flow, you're right, Cat. This is one of those series where he could go. There'll be 2-3 games. You're thinking you should be dominating this. You should be, but does that? I don't know. Yeah, the Cat's one of those. He's one of those players too, like James Harden, where you're thinking he looks good, and then he has those games where it's like you got 5 fouls, like you said, and in the third quarter, and then you can't play on the floor, and then he doesn't defend like that either. You talk about a guy that don't defend. He don't defend either as much either. So you could get him in they can go hunting. So Cade and him can do some damage in that regard. But I think the Knicks just has a little too much. If Tibbs, he's gonna rely on the starters heavy, and they can get rolling, especially against non-contending team. They've done it all year. So, but I mean, I do like it though. I like that you said Pistons in 7. That would be an upset. Huge.
I'm not mad at it.
Man, not at all. Not at all. That would be interesting. They go, man. I'll tell you one thing. Knicks, Madison Square Garden would not like that if they lose to Detroit. Oh man, they would be like, let's fire Tibbs and get rid of them. They already talking about firing them anyway. And Stephen A. Smith, he'll just, you know what he'll do if they lose. Oh my goodness, if the Knicks lose that series, especially against the Pistons. But I think if the Knicks win, they lose to Boston in the next series anyway. But all right, we got the last series. This is a rematch from last season, Indiana and Milwaukee. I just didn't know how good Indiana was going to be again, but they sure turned it around. They're a very, very slow start, and now they're Milwaukee, who Dame just came back. They said he could be out for game 1 and 2, maybe early, but he's coming. He just returned, coming back from serious blood clots that he had. I think if Dame was playing, they just got around Giannis, and yes, great as he is, I don't know if he can lead this team past Indiana. But Damian, we'll start with you on this one. Indiana, Milwaukee, is it going to be the same as it was last year with Indiana beating them, or can Milwaukee can they pull it? Can Giannis lead this team maybe without Dame for the first couple games?
Yeah, this one's going to be different because we're seeing a healthy Giannis going into the playoffs for the first time in 3 years.
Yep.
So that's definitely going to change things from last year. Dame coming back, if it's game 2 or game 3, that's going to change things. So I like what the Bucks could do against Indiana, because Indiana, Miles Turner hasn't been the guy he's been in the past as far as rim protection, as far as just a player in general this year. They've gotten their offense from Pascal Siakam. Tyrese Halliburton's been better second half of the season for sure.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a key. If he's aggressive, Tyrese Halliburton has to be aggressive. He can't just be the guy out there throwing the ball around and getting the 10 assists. Like, he has to be aggressive and be somebody who's putting his stamp on the game. And he'll have these moments where he disappears. And I feel like if that happens in this series, especially if Dame comes back and Dame has those Dame-type games that he can have, you could really run into some trouble there. So I'm going to go Bucks in 6 in this one, because I believe in a healthy Giannis going against Indiana with this team. And Milwaukee can have their moments defensively where they look good. Bobby Portis coming back as well. I think everything's pointing towards Milwaukee winning this series over Indiana.
Yeah. This was a tough series because of, if Dame comes back and he is Dame, I think that makes a huge difference. And you said Giannis healthy. Indiana doesn't have anybody that can guard him, especially a healthy Giannis. I mean, Miles Turner is good. He, like I said, took a little bit step back. Siakam, Obi Toppin, I don't think any of those guys can. The matchup favors Giannis either way, especially healthy. He said, I think Halliburton is the key for Indiana. If he plays with the pace that we know he can play with, that makes a huge difference. Indiana, just if they can run this Milwaukee team, they can run them out of the gym in a few games if they want. They're hitting threes and they're running, and like I said, and Halliburton's running with that type of pace, they can definitely run them in the ground with that. And Doc Rivers in the playoffs, the other coach that just makes these bad decisions when it comes to the playoffs. I don't know what it is. Like, he's another one that it just very, very bizarre that he sometimes with the rotations and things like that. So I don't know about that. Doc's a good coach. He's a really good coach, but it's just coaching sometimes it gets the best of him as well. So I don't know about this one, James. I'll let you go on this one because I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to go. I haven't decided if I'm going to go Indiana or I'm leaning more towards Indiana, but Giannis could lead this Bucks team. I pass him, but what you got in this matchup?
If you're forcing me to pick right now, I'm going Indiana in 6. But that's because we don't know when Dame will be back.
Right.
If Dame comes back in game 2, it's Bucks in 6.
Okay.
Because of the way Giannis is playing. Because they don't have he's a bad matchup for Indiana. Because Bobby Portis is a bad matchup for Indiana. If they can get anything on the outside, like what Dame can bring, they have it. They have the shooters for it. But I mean, the threat, real threat that Dame is, they can get anything from him like that. It's going to be a pretty clean series for Milwaukee. Yeah. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. They said he's been off the blood thinners. If he's been off the blood thinners, then maybe he'd be pretty good. If he just came off the blood thinners, it's going to take him a little while to get going.
Yeah.
That's not easy to recover from when you got to play at this kind of level and do what he does on the basketball floor.
Yeah.
So right now I'll say Indiana. I got Indiana in 6 if Dame's not there. Yeah. But if Dame is there after game 2, if he plays in game 2, it's Milwaukee in 6. Giannis is playing fantastic basketball.
Yep.
Nobody can touch him. This is MVP Giannis. He's healthy. He's feeling good. Bobby Portis has come back after that suspension and has gotten himself together, and he's being Bobby Portis, doing what he does.
Yeah. Yep.
They got Green. It's Green, right? Shooter.
Yeah.
Yep.
AJ Green.
Let AJ go to work.
Yep.
He'll get his shots off. It's what the rest of these guys are going to do defensively against the Matherins, against the Halliburtons, and against those guards who want to attack.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to keep them from getting into the paint against, in there? And Brook Lopez is, playing Brook Lopez basketball, but you can see the slowdown.
Yeah.
So it almost looks like he's not as much of a threat back there as he was 2 years ago. And I think that could be exposed a little bit. And if they don't really defend well on the perimeter, that'll hurt Milwaukee a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not getting anything offensively. But, a healthy team is a dangerous one, and Indiana is healthy. Yep. They're playing pretty good basketball right now. They're figuring themselves out, and Milwaukee is almost healthy. And that's just the difference of this series to me.
Yeah, and I think they need Milwaukee. I agree. I think I'll go with that. I think with Indiana, if Dame comes back game 2, 3, just depends how he looks and how he feels.
Sure.
Healthy Dame will. I think the Bucks beat this Indiana team probably in 6-2. So I agree. And I think if not, it's Indiana in 6 because, like I said, that pace they can run that. Now Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, he's been hot lately.
He's been playing good.
Yeah. So can he sustain that for the next couple weeks? That would help. And Kyle Kuzma, can we get you? Can you do something, man? That's what they got you for, man. They
was disgusted by the mention of his name.
Yes.
I can't, man. Because I was really into the idea of them getting Kyle Kuzma.
Yes, me too.
And I thought, man, he's gonna come out, and if he just does what he does in Washington and be quiet, he's gonna be the perfect fit for this roster.
Yes, secondary scorer.
Again, it couldn't be any further from the truth. Right. I don't know what's going on, what it is but he right now, I feel like he failed them. Not the GM, not anybody else.
Him.
Kuzma has failed Milwaukee right now.
He did.
He didn't show up when they expected him to, and when he really had the open door to do it.
Yes. Yeah, secondary scorer. They could have been the third guy. Now they're probably thinking, man, we could have just kept Middleton for this,
Yep.
you know, and
Yeah.
Middleton not even the same player with all those injuries and things like
They
that.
got more. They would
Yeah,
have got more out of
more.
Middleton.
Yes, they would have got definitely more. For sure, but Middleton and the bad knees, they could have got more out of Middleton because I mean, Middleton
somebody you
can't
could depend
even,
on in a clutch situation.
Right.
Yes, for sure, yeah. 'Cause Middleton can't even move hardly anymore because of the injuries, man. Them knees, both knees is done. But
Yeah.
it's just like Kuzma is like, okay, we get younger, can play D when he's locked in,
He's engaged.
but when he's engaged. But it's like, can we get something? Maybe this maybe the playoffs will help. Maybe this will bring something out of them. But I don't see it. It's gonna Giannis gonna have to drag this team and the victories. And can he do it? Yeah, he's good enough. But can he do it for 7 games? I don't know.
Giannis?
Team,
Can Giannis do it for 7 games?
Yeah, drag this team without.
I believe in Giannis.
I do too.
Believe in Giannis and do it. I just don't know if he'll be able. He's down a key peg.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
That peg against this team right now.
Yeah.
That's a big peg to miss.
Yep.
But yeah, I do believe in Giannis's ability. I wouldn't.
No doubt.
Doesn't come back and he does his thing and they win. It wouldn't shock me at all.
No, it wouldn't shock me either. I just don't feel like without Dame, and he had to get that second score to help him with consistently. Sure. I think Indiana the matchups fits them more. But yeah, can Giannis? Oh yeah, for sure. Giannis can lead to get this team back to the finals if need be. Now it would be a tall task against Cleveland, against Boston, but yeah, I'd never doubt Giannis's ability for sure. But all right, so we went through the first round and everything too. But we'll do quickly. Who do you guys got going to the finals and winning the finals? Damian, I'll start with you on this one.
NBA finals?
Yeah.
I'm going OKC versus Boston. And I'm going with the young guns of OKC to upset Boston in the finals. OKC in 7.
Ooh, okay. I like it. I like that. The young guns getting through. They'll get through their first round, and then they'll play the 4 or 5. Be Denver or Clippers. That'll be a tough series, regardless.
That's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, and then if it is which people want the LeBron versus Steph, they want the Lakers and Warriors and for ratings and all that one more time. So do they get past either one of those teams, or it could be Houston? You never know, whoever. But if it is Lakers,
Western Conference Finals, I got Thunder Warriors. Western Conference Finals.
I agree with you on that. I think it's okay. I think it's OKC Warriors. I got Boston OKC in the finals, but I got Boston going back to back. The experience will take over against OKC, and I think OKC will make that next step again the next season. But they do get to the final. But I got Boston winning back to back. All right, James, on you. Who do you got in the finals and conference finals, and who do you got winning?
Yeah. I got OKC versus the Lakers in the conference final. And I got Boston, Cleveland, Boston, OKC in the finals with Boston winning. I do think that OKC is right there.
Yeah.
I do think that OKC, barring any major injuries, will return again next season, probably to win it. But I just think Boston is too loaded. They've done this too many years in a row. And I think I have them winning that final series in 6 over OKC in the finals.
Yeah, I got Boston over OKC in 7. And then I got Boston Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals too. I think Cleveland's they're so good, but again, Boston, when they're engaged, locked in, I think they're the best team just overall, and just the experience. And like I said, I think Tatum, he's taking it to another level with his game, and he's I think said with Drew and if Porzingis, like I said, stays healthy, they're just a problem for a lot of teams. And the way they shoot the 3 as well. Pritchard, I love his game. I do. The Pritchard just just shoot, and he doesn't back down.
He's
Just
a
another
dog.
He's a dog, and just another key player for them. And that 6-man, like, come on, this guy definitely does his thing with it. So for sure, I definitely agree on that. All right, fellas, this was always been always enjoy these conversations and love the analysis as always. And yeah, really appreciate this. It's another one we've done. I think we've done this for like 5 years now or something like that, maybe longer. But I really appreciate the breakdown and get ready for this NBA playoffs. So, but before we go, let everyone know where they can follow you and what you guys got coming up. Damian, we'll start with you.
So you can follow me on social media at The Real Deal WDA. That's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha on all social media platforms. I'm always dropping videos, giving takes. I call them Real Deal takes that I'm dropping each and every day. For the playoffs, I'll definitely be dropping betting videos probably every day for the playoffs.
Yes.
So go ahead and follow me if you want to both win and lose some money. I can't guarantee it's going to win every time, but both win and lose some money. Hopefully we do more winning than losing along for the playoffs. And my podcast has the same namesake as this one, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Is available on all podcast platforms. I usually do it each week. Sometimes it's bi-weekly, but anytime I drop it, I'm trying to drop something that's quality that you will enjoy. So go ahead and subscribe to that. And Courtney, thank you again. Really do appreciate being able to talk basketball with you guys. I always enjoy it.
No doubt. I appreciate that. And again, yes, follow Damian on all those platforms. Again, I've been a guest on the show many times. We get into a lot of different things, and it is a big time quality podcast. So really appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. All right, Jamus, let them know where you got to get that podcast too. We're trying to get you on the podcast. I'll be the co-host or whatever. We got to get you on the podcast, definitely on the network. But let them know where they can follow you and all the things you got coming up.
Yeah, Jamus Geter, Geter, easy. You look it up, you're just gonna get me. So anywhere I am on a lot of different social media platforms, that's where you'll find me. Where you'll find me right now is in an AAU gym near you.
Yep.
Sitting quiet, just admiring and appreciating my daughter as she's taking her game to the next level. Big year right now. So that's where I'll be. Got a tournament next week. I'll be out in Lancaster. Will be a Spooky Nook, Pennsylvania next Friday. Lots of traveling for us. We've already been to Chicago, Pennsylvania, Louisville, Cincinnati twice. So that's where I'll be spending most of my time. Other than that, I'll be sleeping right now. But I am working on the idea of doing a podcast. My wife and I have been talking about it a little bit. Just something extra to do as my kids get older. I want to be able to keep my mind sharp and talk about the things that I like to talk about, which is mostly sports, basketball, but well-rounded in a lot of different things. So thinking about what to call it, what to do. So you guys are definitely two people. Once I get my ducks in the right row, that I'll be contacting first before I take the next steps. I listen to both of your guys' stuff. I respect you guys for what you're doing and how you do it. It's probably what I will model. I would honestly prefer to have both of you guys be on there with me, just because it's fun. It relaxes me listening to you guys, hearing you guys, and just allows me to be normal when I do this. But again, conversation for another day. But it is something that I'm starting to look to, because when you ask that question, I want to be able to say, this is my podcast too.
No doubt.
But I do respect what you guys do, Damian. I do. I don't do a lot of sports betting, but I check your stuff out, and I start to increase my bets a little bit, trying to figure out the betting world. I listen. I look at a lot of your stuff. So
I appreciate you, sir.
I respect you guys for what you're doing, and jumping in this lane and this platform is something that I think God is leaning me towards, and something that I want to do. and that's because of you guys. So
we appreciate that.
Appreciate you, Courtney, as always, for having me on. I love you, brother. You know,
yep,
always the same for us. Damian, I respect you. I appreciate you, and I really would like to have the opportunity to, you know, chop it up with you about this podcast thing. And Courtney, of course, I'm coming to you for sure, so we can talk this out. Even for my girls, I think they might want to do something too. So,
for no doubt, and I had them on the podcast for my Women's History Month at the end of the month on March, and both of your girls wanted they really. They really want to do it too, and I see the future for them. It's bright as always, but you know how I feel about you, man. It's always good coming, love you too, as a brother and all that. We've been through it all those years, so really always appreciate the time and everything too, and appreciate all the kind words. And yeah, the sports podcasting, like I said, it's a grind. It could definitely totally be a grind, but I enjoy it, and just I know Damian enjoys it too, and we look forward to any way we can help you out, get that up and right. I know I've been on you about getting one for years and everything too, just to stay, because I know how good it can be and where it can go to, whatever it is, the platform and everything too. And then as far as sports betting, I'm on a little heater right now, so as they say in sports betting, when you win a little bit, you start to win. I won good money in March Madness. Finally won the office pool and about $300, and then I won another one, $200. So I was good. Then I won the Masters, won some money on that. So I've been on a little bit. I'm losing now the next golf tournament, so I'll take a break. I'm losing all this money and everything. I gotta save for this anniversary, 20 years, and going to Hawaii in August. So I put some of that aside. So I had the wife said, "You ain't gonna spend all that money. You gotta put a little bit on this." So I did that. So, but no, it's always a pleasure talking to both of you guys. I really enjoy the time, and I know it's late on this East Coast. Damian probably he ready to party now. So on the West Coast. But I know for us, we're a little tired. And, I know. I knew I was going to do this a little later on during the evening. But no, I do appreciate both of you guys and always enjoy this time. So again, enjoy the holiday. This is a holiday this weekend, and enjoy that. And really appreciate both you guys. Enjoy the weekend.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right, that's a wrap.